Welcome back to Ecology. Today we're going to be talking about food chains and food webs and creating some examples of those food chains and food webs. Also, you're going to be learning about a procedure that you'll be performing on Thursday called an ethogram. So we'll begin with a food chain. A food chain is a feeding relationship, and it basically shows a chain of feeding, basically. So we've got, in our image here, we've got a carnivore that eats another carnivore that eats an herbivore or omnivore that eats an herbivore, and then that plant matter gets its energy from the sun. And so all of these feeding relationships, most of them start with the initial energy source of the sun. The sun is, of course, going to provide nutrients to the plant, and then that plant in turn will pass that energy on to the following organisms. Your responsibility for this topic is actually to create 2 food chains that are specific to Montana. And so today you'll have some time to work on your 2 food chains. They do need to be specific, so don't just say tree or grass or insect. You need to say a specific species that's observed in Montana and its specific food chain that it participates in. This food chain should be typed, and you should also include the trophic level of each organism within the chain. And before you go on to making your chain, one side note: when you make a food chain, the arrows in the food chain point to the organism getting the energy. So in this case, the arrow is always pointing to the organism doing the eating. So the arrow is indicating a transfer of energy from one organism to another. All right, then from the food chain, we've got something a little bit more detailed and intricate called a food web. So 5.1.5 asks us to describe what is meant by food web. And then 5.1.8 asks us to construct a food web containing up to 10 organisms. And so a food web is just an interconnection of food chains, so many food chains in an environment and how they fit together. Food webs are constantly changing depending on the season, the types of organisms that are present and abundant. There's a lot of dynamics within a food web. But today you're going to be constructing a food web as well, and I'm actually going to provide you with a list of organisms that we may observe on the Oregon coast, and you're going to research those organisms and organize them into a food web. So you'll find that information on my website on today's date and be able to get to work on your food web construction. Okay, the final bit of information I need to share with you is actually an assignment that you'll be doing on Thursday, and it's called an ethogram. An ethogram is a process by which we make observations about other organisms. And in Newport, Oregon, we will be doing an ethogram of either birds or sea lions or something like that. It depends on what organisms are around at that time. But on Thursday, you're going to be doing a practice ethogram, and you're actually going to be observing some human subjects. So between now and Thursday, I need you to get permission from one of your teachers throughout the day to come in during this period and observe their class for 25 minutes. So from the substitute, you're going to receive a permission slip, and by Thursday have that filled out, and then on Thursday you're actually going to go into that teacher's class and observe one individual in that class for 20 minutes. I have printed lab handouts for you, so you can also get that from the sub at the end of this video lecture and find out your entire procedure and everything that you're going to need to do. It's pretty straightforward. It just takes some concentration and attention to detail. And finally, to finish that assignment, you're going to be writing a seal paragraph concluding about the behavior of the individual that you observed. So all in all, you have basically 3 assignments in the next today through Thursday. The first is to create a food chain, 2 food chains for organisms in Montana. Be sure to include trophic level. The second is to create a food web for organisms that we might see on the Oregon coast. And the list of those organisms is on today's date on my website. And then last is to get your permission slip for the ethogram that will be completed on Thursday. Okay, so your food chain and your food web are due on Friday. Your permission slip is due on Thursday. And then you will perform your ethogram Thursday, and your seal paragraph and data table will be collected the following Monday. Have a great day.